Before you spend another $30, $40, or even $60 on a memory supplement, look inside your spice cabinet. A 20-cent serving of an ordinary kitchen herb contains natural compounds that researchers have studied for their effects on memory and attention. That herb is sage. But here is what the supplement advertisements rarely tell you. The human studies are small. Most used concentrated extracts, not ordinary seasoning. And no kitchen herb can guarantee protection from dementia. Still, the science behind sage is interesting enough that anyone over 50 should understand it. Memory changes can be unsettling. You walk into a room and forget why you went there. A familiar name disappears for a few seconds. You put down your glasses and spend 10 minutes looking for them. For many people, occasional forgetfulness is simply part of normal aging. But when it happens more often, the fear begins. Is my memory getting worse? Is this the beginning of dementia? Should I start taking something? Then the advertisements appear. Brain boosters, memory formulas, nootropic blends, ginkgo, vitamins, mushroom extracts, and complicated combinations with impressive labels. Some cost hundreds of dollars each year. And the uncomfortable truth is that many people buy them without knowing whether they have a deficiency, whether the ingredients work, or whether they interact with medications. This does not mean every supplement is useless, but protecting the aging brain is much more complicated than swallowing one capsule. Welcome to Apex Ledger, where we examine affordable health habits without miracle promises. Today's herb has been associated with memory for centuries, and modern researchers have discovered a possible reason why. The herb is sage, known scientifically as Salvia officinalis. The name salvia comes from a Latin word connected with health and healing. For centuries, sage developed a reputation in European herbal traditions as a plant associated with memory and mental clarity. Modern science has investigated several compounds found in sage, including rosmarinic acid and aromatic compounds found in its natural oils. One area of particular interest involves a brain chemical called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine helps nerve cells communicate. It plays an important role in attention, learning, and memory. Think of your brain as a large office building. Every memory requires messages to move between different rooms. Acetylcholine is one of the messengers carrying those notes. But the body also produces an enzyme called acetylcholinesterase. Its job is to break acetylcholine down after the message has been delivered. Imagine a cleaning crew removing notes from the hallway. That is necessary. But if the notes disappear too quickly, communication becomes more difficult. Some compounds in sage extracts have shown the ability to slow this breakdown in laboratory research. In other words, they may allow certain acetylcholine signals to remain available a little longer. This is interesting because some medications used for Alzheimer's disease also work by affecting acetylcholinesterase. But this comparison must be handled very carefully. Eating sage is not the same as taking an Alzheimer's medication. The strength, dose, consistency, and clinical evidence are completely different. Researchers have also tested sage in human studies. In one small randomized study, healthy older adults between 65 and 90 received different doses of a standardized sage extract. Certain doses produced improvements in some measures of memory and attention during the hours after taking it. That sounds encouraging. But the study included only 20 people. It also tested a specially prepared extract, not half a teaspoon of dried sage from a supermarket. Another small clinical trial followed 42 people with mild to moderate Alzheimer's disease. Participants receiving a sage extract showed better outcomes on certain cognitive measurements than those receiving a placebo over 4 months. Again, interesting. But 42 people are nowhere near enough to prove that sage treats Alzheimer's disease. And these results have not established ordinary culinary sage as a dementia treatment. This distinction is extremely important. A concentrated research extract is like a measured cup of strong espresso. A pinch of sage added to dinner is more like a mild cup of coffee. They may come from the same plant, but the dose is not the same. Sage also contains antioxidant and anti-inflammatory plant compounds. These are being studied because oxidative stress and chronic inflammation can affect brain health. But antioxidants are not invisible shields around your memory. No spice has been proven to stop brain aging. No herb can erase Alzheimer's disease. And no memory supplement can compensate for uncontrolled blood pressure, diabetes, smoking, physical inactivity, poor sleep, hearing loss, or social isolation. The honest conclusion is much more useful. Sage is an inexpensive culinary herb with promising early research related to memory and attention. It may be worth including as part of a healthy diet. But the evidence is not strong enough to call it a proven memory protector. Here is the safest way to use sage. Think of it as food, not medicine. Choose ordinary culinary dried sage from the supermarket. You can also use fresh sage leaves. Do not confuse this with concentrated sage essential oil. Essential oil is dramatically stronger and should never be swallowed casually. Begin with approximately 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of dried sage added to food. Sage works especially well with eggs, beans, lentils, chicken, fish, potatoes, squash, soups, and roasted vegetables. You do not need to eat it by the spoonful. Another option is a mild sage tea. Use approximately 1/2 teaspoon of dried culinary sage in a cup of hot water. Allow it to steep for about 5 minutes, then strain it. Because sage has a strong flavor, 1 modest cup is enough to begin. You might drink it earlier in the day while reading, doing a crossword, or learning something new. But do not expect the tea to suddenly make your memory sharper. The more useful approach is to combine the herb with habits that actually challenge and support the brain. For example, add sage to breakfast, then take a 20-minute walk. Later that day, learn something unfamiliar. Practice 5 words in another language. Learn the name of a new plant. Try a new recipe. Call someone and have a real conversation. Your brain responds to use. Memory is not protected by one ingredient. It is supported by an entire environment. Here is a simple 7-day routine. Use a small culinary amount of sage once each day. At the same time, choose one memory challenge. On Monday, memorize 3 names. On Tuesday, learn a new route. On Wednesday, cook something without constantly checking the instructions. On Thursday, call an old friend and recall a shared memory. On Friday, read something unfamiliar and explain it in your own words. The purpose is not to test whether sage is performing a miracle. The purpose is to build a brain-friendly routine that costs almost nothing. And do not ignore the foundations. Regular physical activity supports blood flow and overall brain health. Good sleep is essential for memory consolidation. Treating hearing problems may help you remain mentally and socially engaged. Managing blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar protects the blood vessels that supply the brain. Eating vegetables, legumes, whole grains, fish when appropriate, nuts, seeds, and other minimally processed foods gives the brain a broader nutritional foundation than any nootropic bottle. Sage should be a small addition to that foundation, not the foundation itself. Always consult your doctor or pharmacist before using concentrated sage products, especially if you take several medications or have a neurological condition. Avoid swallowing sage essential oil. Concentrated sage oil may contain significant amounts of a compound called thujone. At high exposure, thujone can affect the nervous system and may trigger seizures. Culinary use is very different from consuming concentrated essential oil. And please do not treat persistent memory problems with a kitchen herb. Seek medical assessment if memory changes are becoming worse, interfering with daily life, causing you to get lost in familiar places, affecting medication management, changing your personality, or making it difficult to handle money and ordinary tasks. Memory problems may also come from conditions that can sometimes be treated, including medication side effects, depression, sleep disorders, thyroid problems, or certain nutritional deficiencies. The lesson is not that a 20-cent herb replaces medical care or a proven treatment. It is that an ordinary kitchen ingredient has attracted genuine scientific interest and may be a more sensible addition to your routine than blindly buying another expensive brain booster. Have you ever cooked with sage or tried sage tea? And what is the first thing you do when you notice your memory is not as sharp as it used to be? Share your experience in the comments below. For more calm, affordable, science-based health guidance after 50, consider liking this video and subscribing to Apex Ledger. Your memory is too important to trust to a miracle pill. Protect it with movement, sleep, learning, connection, good medical care, and perhaps a little sage in tonight's dinner.